Hi, this is Michael Benjamin Jacobson. Imagine a world without greed. Wouldn't this world be transformed? This is a short message. I want to address an issue that I saw in the news today. If you look at prophecies on my website, on my YouTube, you'll find that I've been warning against how Australia needs to change their abortion laws, and Australia needs to change their gay marriage laws. And I've been saying that the bushfires are a judgment of God, and the drought is a judgment of God. God's going to judge a whole lot more mightily, and this is only just a start. I see earthquakes, I see maybe a tsunami, I see all sorts of trials and sufferings. But I want to congratulate Israel Folau. I can't really pronounce his name well. Saw that on the news. It's a mighty thing, you standing up. I think that you're a prophet like Elijah in these days, in bringing a warning to this wicked nation of Australia that I live in. I feel Israel Folau, you're like an Elijah, and Prime Minister Scott Morrison condemning what Israel Folau said today about God's under judgment. The droughts and the fires are just a tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen. If you check my YouTube page and you check the prophetic warnings that I've been giving in the last couple of weeks, I've got the same message. A prominent prophet, international prophet, Sadhu Sundar Selvaraj, that I'll put the prophecy in the description tag from him. He said the same thing. If you pass this gay marriage law in Australia, God's going to pour out his righteous right hand and smash Australia. And we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen. So I call Scott Morrison, supposed Pentecostal Christian, Ahab. Ahab is bowing down to the Jezebel spirit in LGBT, the Jezebel spirit in this feminist movement, arising to enforce abortion laws, this feminist spirit that's ruling Australia, the Muslim spirit, all sorts of stuff. He's an Ahab. He's bending over, just like a man bends over and has anal sex with another man. He's bending over like an Ahab to this Jezebel spirit. Perhaps the women, he likes the women to control him. Jezebel is manifested in the Old Testament in King Ahab's time, and she's a woman, but the Jezebel spirit doesn't just pick women. 50% of the Jezebels are men, not just forceful women, but weak and forceful, controlling men too. Jezebel's mentioned in Revelation, so it's a real spirit, it's a real demon, it's a real force to be reckoned with. And certainly he's copying this backlash from this Jezebel sort of Baal sort of spirit that's risen up in Australia to, for him to lose his contract. So Israel Folau, if you're watching this, you're a true prophet. I'm a prophet. I've been in the prophetic, moving in the prophetic for 25 years. I've done about 25 to 30,000 prophecies. Got 2,000 videos on YouTube. I've published 55 Christian books. I really bought my right to speak as a Christian, and I agree wholeheartedly. Let the two prophets agree, the prophet in Israel Folau and the prophet in me. Let us agree on this one thing: God is going to smash Australia, especially the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, is going to come up under big judgment by God. And he could even lose his life. And that wouldn't be me taking it, that would be God striking him down. So what I want to say to you, Israel Folau, is God loves you, mate. God loves you. And you may be getting all the hate now from LGBT, from abortion, from the media, from everyone. Let them pour it out on you, man. You just be a Donald Trump. You stand up and you be righteous and you just be spoken bad about. It's only out of love that you say gays are going to go to hell if they continue in their practice. So are fornicators. So are people who are living outside of marriage in a relationship. So are people committing adultery. So are men addicted to pornography. You just haven't singled out gays. You single out sin. And you're a true prophet. I notice I sort of friends of prophets in Australia and people on the Elijah list and all these famous Australian prophets, haven't heard one of them speak about these judgments, these fires. This is nothing. This is just 5% of what's going to happen to Australia. And God is going to pour his wrath out. Actually, the day of the Lord, Malachi 4, is going to be fulfilled in Australia. If you're going to read Malachi 4 and Elijah, and unless you respect the law of Moses, God's going to strike this land with a curse, going to strike this land with a plague, just like that Australia's got to come back into the laws of Moses and have some respect for God. And Scott Morrison, you're under judgment. You've been weighed and measured and you're found wanting. You're an Ahab, man. You're bowing down to Satan. You're no such thing as a Christian leader, mate. You've got all the churches full. As far as I'm concerned, what I feel, just my sense, is that you're in bed with the Masonic order, and you and Masonic order are like bedmates, like lovers. And I don't mind if that's defamation. Bring it on me. I've got no money, so what are you going to sue me from? So I want to take it up a notch. You're an Ahab. Scott Morrison, you're an Ahab. Scott Morrison, you're Ahab. Go and read your Old Testament. Know it, the wickedness you let Jezebel go on with in ancient Israel, her false gods and all her laws and adultery and prostitution in the temples. You're allowing wickedness. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure. I think the gay marriage and I think the abortion came in under your watch, but maybe it was someone before you. But believe me, you're an Ahab, and Israel Folau, you're a real prophet. Stand up and be proud, mate, and fight back. And don't worry about the wounds, don't worry about the wars, don't worry about the media, don't worry about anyone, man. Jesus said in Matthew 5, if you get persecuted for righteousness' sake, well, so did the true prophets of God in the Old Testament. And Guy, you're a champion. Feel free to reach out to me anytime you like. I respect you. I love you. And yes, I don't hate gays, and I don't hate people having abortions. No one even offers women solutions. Women who are young are pressured, they get pregnant. I feel sorry for them. No one ever offers them different options and solutions. And the Christian church is just dead and asleep and non-effective in Australia as far as I'm concerned. So good on you, Israel. I stand up for you. And Scott Morrison, you're under judgment. You've been weighed in the balance and you've been found wanting.